Y'all notice something different? Ow! I got some new glasses. They still thick, but they mine.
I don't hear nobody out there. Hold it down. Hold it down.
DMX never called me Eve. He called me Evening, which actually made sense since the way he acted with me versus the fellas was like night and day. He would greet me in that DMX growl like he was barking military orders at me, yet somehow at the same time saluting me. Evening, he'd shout in his lovingly aggressive tone. I can still hear him saying it now. We know that he a lover, all right? He's a Sagittarian. I'm telling you, the greatest lovers on this earth is you goddamn fire signs. Oh, you sons of just you. They get you every time. Oh, they so smooth. They like cream. Oh, so smooth. Ooh. That damn Aries. That damn Sagittarius. And that Leo. Ooh, they get me every time. Anyway, girl, come back. I've always felt like he was a lover to all the women that he dealt with. Now, I ain't saying he hadn't had no good, short nights with the women, but I bet you believe he gave them that good short night and then moved on and then gave another woman a good short night and a baby, and then another woman a good short night and a baby, on and on and on. But Eve said that he was so very gentle with her and that the reputation he had in the streets was never how she saw him. Speaking on these daggone fire signs, because they be so romantic and so loving. You want to look at them through rose-colored glasses because you believe, they'll never treat me like that. And you kind of turned on by the fact that they'll never treat you like that. Oh, but honey, eventually that shit will turn on you. It might not be as effed up as how it is with those other people, but eventually how that person, male or female, treats them other people, they're going to treat you. You're going to experience them mother hunchies at their worst. I never felt the wrath of X like everyone else did. I definitely witnessed the best and worst sides of him, but the latter was never pointed at me. He was always so sweet to me and gave the best hugs. Girl, that's because you ain't never jumped into bed with him. Or you did and you just ain't putting it in this book. But trust me, the baby mother who he loved with all his heart, to Sure or to Kerr, whatever his name is, he took her out on a date and robbed the old lady right in front of her eyes. After a few months of mourning my aftermath situation and considering that NYU route one more time, I got the call from Mark that Jimmy Levine had reached out to him. The Yonkers crew that he was working with, the Ruff Ryders, ironically signed to the same parent company, Interscope, that I'd just been dropped from, were looking for a female MC to join their crew. I had to give myself a lot of my pep talks before I joined the Ruff Ryders. I was my own voice of reason, telling myself to keep going even when I was clouded with doubts about the outcome. That's not always easy to do, even if you know you're destined for what you're chasing. Either way, this was the new opportunity that I had, and I was going to take it head on. I was ready to leave Yonkers as a Rough Rider, whether these dudes recognized it or not. I knew some of them individually a little from the Golden Lady. Remember when she was dancing around there in the Bronx? Them dudes used to drive through and say, "What's up, Eve?" You know, they knew that she had talent, especially since she round there with just thongs on and rapping in front of these dudes. Pause in the draws. You know Eve is a Scorpio. Them mother hunchies, let me tell you something about them and Virgos, okay? If you ask me, Virgos are worse than Scorpios because Scorpios own who they are. They know that, you know, they have maybe done some demonic things in their lives to get to a certain position. Them Virgos always going to play dumb. What I love about a Scorpio is that they are not afraid to embarrass themselves or to look foolish or deal with the aftermath of shame. Whatever it is they need to do to get to where they want to be, they straight there. They don't deal with the what ifs, you know? They don't care about how they look or how it affects others. They just see success and they go straight there. And I will always admire that about a Scorpio. Eve is a brilliant example of that because you sitting here rapping with a thong on and your titties out and you at the strip club and you just randomly doing it. You don't even give a fuck if the person you rapping in front of is Ned the wino. You just looking at it like this might be Ned the director or Ned the music mogul. That's all she's thinking about. Straightforward to the plan. And if one of these niggas that I'm shaking my ass in front of end up being the next Rob Reiner, or who is it, Dr. Dre or whoever, okay, or Puff Daddy. I'm so happy she didn't deal with that, but she ended up with that Stevie J. I swear to God, if this bitch don't talk about Stevie J, I'm done with her ass. I knew some of them individually a little bit from the Golden Lady, but not as a whole organized unit. And when I lived in LA, I would hang around some of the guys whenever they were out west, since I craved that northeast sense of community. Mailman first introduced me to DMX. I didn't really know too much about the rest of the crew collectively. All I knew was that they were pretty big in Yonkers and Harlem, and they were fun. A bunch of guys who loved rapping and motorcycles and dogs. But what they lacked was some divine feminine energy to balance out all the barking. I knew I could provide that while still keeping it gangsta. The ride from Philly to Yonkers was stressful. I wouldn't exactly say I was nervous. Determined is more like it. My manager and I really laid down what needed to be done when I got there. So having a game plan helped keep my anxiety from taking over. But again, I couldn't help but feel like this was a do or die situation. We were told to come to the official Rough Ryders studio called Powerhouse. DMX used to say it was where the dogs get trained. I knew one thing was clear going in. I couldn't take my usual battle rap approach that I used with the guys back in West Philly. Little D jokes weren't going to land with these dudes. I walked to the center and my first opponent came forward. I think it was Drag On, an infrared who stepped to me first. Other guys like Cross were waiting to go next. And what happened after that? Well, I don't really know because I kind of blacked out. Words came out of me, but I was consumed by the moment. I don't remember what I said or who it was even aimed at. All I know is that when I came to, everyone was cheering like oh shiz. Wah and D had their nephew Swizz Beatz apprenticing as a producer, and he ran into the room bouncing up and down. I just kinda stood there and surveyed the room, and everyone cheering like I was some self-possessed Shaolin master who just annihilated a temple full of opponents and was assessing the damage. Their mouths were open, but my mind processed nothing. Maybe it was shock. I knew I'd just done something though, and I guess it was good. Wah looked at me and said, "Welcome to Rough Riders." X wasn't lying when he said the dogs had to be trained. They called all of us young rappers the pups, and they weren't going to let us just hop on a song and act like we all knew what the F we were doing when we did. So pause in the draws. Those of us who are old enough to remember the glories of a remix, we understand how important the Rough Riders anthem remix was. What she broke it down to is this. It was just a way of them introducing the crew. Okay, because DMX was already on the one. Remember when we read the book, DMX called the Locks pups, right? And to this day, Jadakiss still has a lot of respect for DMX. But anyway, child. But remixing, oh my God, that's a way of getting a second bag off the same song. Okay? You can use the same beats. You just grab a whole bunch of mother hunchies that's popping and put them on there. Or will eventually be popping, or you trying to make pop. Like one of my favorite remixes of all time is Crazy Story by Lil Durk and King Von. Man, that thing is a classic. You hear me? I think they remixed that thing like 172 times, and each time I hear it, it's magnanimous. And that Rough Riders anthem remix was all of it. And that's how they introduced the world to Eve. Much respect to the Rough Riders. First of all, it was on DJ Clues, The Professional, one of the first major releases from a world-renowned DJ. A mixtape released by a legit major label and not sold out of the trunk of a car with a photocopied cover. That alone raised the bar. But then it was also our big introduction. The Locks were with us now. I was there. Swizz was producing. Drag was there. And of course, X was there. We were a unit, and we were announcing our arrival. From an internal business standpoint, though, it was the litmus test to see who the public gravitated towards. When the song finally arrived, it spread like wildfire. The streets were feeling that anthem, and even more, they were feeling me. I was brand new to the rap world, even though, for me, it felt like forever in the making. I remember I was in Harlem when I first heard the song blasting through the speakers of a car. I couldn't believe it. I was on the radio. There was no turning back now. I was officially the first lady of the Rough Riders. The little test of who the public would love basically revealed that it was all of us, but for different reasons. We were putting together our first compilation album, Ride or Die Volume 1. And by that point, everyone wanted to hear what we had to say. When the album dropped, it was right to number 1. And like 2 months later, it went platinum. Mission accomplished. I had a lot of shine on the first project, showing up on some of the posse cuts like Ride or Die, but then getting to sing the hook for Jay-Z's Jigga My Nigga and What Y'all Want. I think everyone knew that What Y'all Want was the one. I used to lie and tell people that Will Smith was my cousin.
Hollywood, lovely white light.